It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 326. Tonight I'm joined by Emo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hi.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hey there.
So last week we bumped a topic because Thalen wasn't here, and I think we'll start with that. Yakuza Like a Dragon. I mean, am I correct that you have also been playing Thalen?
I actually haven't yet.
Okay.
I probably do need to. Part of me wants to finish playing through all of the previous 7 games first, but also I understand that, this is a new protagonist and a whole new thing, so I could probably start with it and not spoil a bunch of stuff or whatever.
Oh, I did not realize it was a thing. It was a good new starting place. Because I've also not played more than a few minutes of any of the other ones.
Yeah, because it's a new protagonist for the first time, and it is a new combat style. All the previous games
are turn-based RPG.
Yeah, this is Dragon Warrior shit. It's great.
That's real different.
Did you like FF5? Maybe you should try this.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. Apparently, it has a job system. Ash was talking about that. That's hilarious.
Oh, wow. That is totally the game I expected it was going to be.
It's a completely different genre from the previous games.
Yeah, I've just got to go ahead and pick it up and start playing it.
Is this Larian? For switching genres?
No, because they made it 7 games in the same genre first.
Okay, yeah.
So...
Yeah, I mean,
instead, Larian made 7 games in different genres and then finally have stuck on one.
Yeah, they switched protagonists, and the new protagonist wants to be in an RPG. So he is.
So who is actually playing?
So I have played quite a bit of it.
Well, I thought this wasn't an Ash topic.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure whose topic it was.
So I have not played. I played a bit of Yakuza 0, but that's sort of the extent of the rest of my experience in this game. So I know some things, like the Tojo clan exists. And the main character of this game gets basically no respect at all. Despite being in the Tojo clan at the start of the game, he's not, let's say, well accomplished or very important.
He's also not big like Kiryu.
Yeah, we can't all be Kiryu.
So, is this a party building game?
To some extent, yeah. You have
okay,
a few characters in a party, specifically 4, and you get a few more over the course of the game. But you have this weird job system in which there are weird jobs like chef and fortune teller and bodyguard, only one of which uses a normal sounding weapon.
I'm gonna guess bodybuilder is the normal one?
Bodyguard has a sword, yeah.
Okay.
But otherwise you're fighting people by beating them with birthday cakes or shooting them with sparkling wine.
Oh my.
Things are nuts.
I mean, weird weapons have always been a thing in Yakuza.
I mean, you were talking about enemies that were weak to guitar damage recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like in Yakuza 0, I was beating people up with a giant frozen fish. That thing was a really good weapon.
This sounds kind of amazing.
It's a Yakuza
It's kind of amazing.
Yakuza games are amazing.
These games are nuts.
I gotta admit, Yakuza turned me off immediately when I tried to play whichever one I tried to play, because it's real Yakuza use controllers. When I tried to play it on the PC, I'm like, what? No, I don't want to use a freaking controller. I want to use mouse and keyboard. And yeah, the mouse and keyboard controls were very much not optimized.
I was going to say, that sounds like them trying
to
feel
tell
bad
me
because they didn't do good keyboard controls.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
So Ash, have you gotten to race any slot cars yet?
I have not gotten to race any slot cars, but I've started doing Dragon Kart, which is kind of like Mario Kart, only not.
I mean, live Mario Kart tours are absolutely a thing in Tokyo, so I could see. Oh, man.
Complete with missiles and power-ups and things like that, because, of course.
How is your business ventures going?
Yeah, there is also a management sim in which you need to take your businesses and make them profitable and achieve certain share prices within certain weak targets. That's going pretty well. It appears to have progression completely independent of the actual game.
Yeah, that sounds normal.
Yep.
Yeah, the side effect of this is it can earn you quite a lot of money.
Uh-huh.
Like, you don't directly earn money from it, but when you get certain targets, you get certain payoffs.
Yeah, that's absolutely a thing in the earlier Yakuza games, is you can absolutely just, once you unlock
You can kind of just blow out the
the
money
business, you can, yeah.
Is it the sort of thing that money just sort of regenerates over time?
I mean, no, you have a benefactor who gives you loans, quote unquote loans. And as long as you're doing what he says, he continues funding your business. I actually haven't found out what happens if you fail, but I've now managed to keep my sandwich, my cracker shop and several other businesses going, and successfully defended myself at shareholder meeting, in which shareholder meetings are wild. It's its own weird turn, real-time RPG-like battle system.
I love it. I love Yakuza games.
Everything about this game is crazy.
Absolutely.
But on top of that, it also tells a rather interesting and somewhat serious story.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, I don't even know what's going on here.
Yep. I mean, if it's like usual, the mainline story is incredibly like dramatic and, you know, tragic, and then everything surrounding it is just bonkers.
I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I love Yakuza games. I mean, I haven't gotten into this one yet, but I plan to. And like they're so good at riding the line between serious and incredible nonsense.
Yeah. I am fascinated by the idea that in this game we apparently get a protagonist that actually like shows emotion.
Yeah. Ichiban has a lot of emotion. An overwhelming amount of emotion, you might say.
I guess that makes up for 7 games of the ultra stoic Kiryu, which admittedly worked really well for, you know, making him the straight man with all this insanity going on around him. But yeah.
Yeah, Ichi is still in this role. He's just is allowed to react to things. Every so often, another party member fills this role. I will say I did not expect the party members I got. The first 4 are very obvious. I mean, they're on the box. But after that, things got weird. And yeah, the side stories are, some of them are serious, and most of them are not.
Yeah.
Game's fun. You like turn-based RPGs, you should play it.
Sounds like it.
Good spot to enter the series as well.
Yeah, that was one of the things. Like, it's a new genre, and also it's just the whole game is new. Like, it's a new character, new intro. It's bonkers real quick.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was as disconnected as it is. Like, I thought it was just the next in the series.
It is that in a lot of ways, but it doesn't require foreknowledge of the previous series to make sense.
Yeah, like I'm led to understand the protagonist of the previous games like makes an appearance, but he is no longer the main character.
I still haven't actually run into him, and I'm fairly deep into the game.
I mean, by this point, he's pretty old, so it makes sense that they would, you know, want somebody younger to do the running around beating people up.
Ichiban isn't exactly young, although I guess neither was Kiryu for most of that series.
I was going to say, Kiryu would be around 60 by now, so...
So is this actually set in pseudo-modern times, then?
Set in 2019.
Okay. Whereas the previous ones were like the 80s?
No, they kind of kept up with the year they were released.
Yeah, Yakuza 0 was specifically set in the past, but all the other ones were basically set in the present day. Yeah.
It's on PC and Xbox?
I'm playing on PS4.
Oh, it's on all the things.
Yeah,
I thought for some reason it was a console exclusive to Microsoft consoles.
Nope. That would be weird for a Japanese game.
That would be real weird.
Yeah, it was like one of the things that they had talked about at all the shows for Xbox Series X, so...
Well, they might just be happy to get some Yakuza at all.
Yeah.
They got Yakuza 0 at some point this year.
Mm-hmm. And related, the remaining games are coming to PC somewhat soon. So that's
3 through 5.
Yeah.
I assume it doesn't have a PlayStation 5 version.
It does.
Like an actual PlayStation 5 version, or just a PS4 version that plays on the PlayStation 5?
I have no idea. I mean, how much of a difference? difficult to tell how much of a difference those things are.
Like that is a thing. Like the well, like okay, so Ghost of Tsushima has a specific download for PS5 that is a version that is tweaked for the PS5.
Right,
That's
but
fair.
tweaked how?
Resolution, unlock frame rate.
Okay.
And a bunch of lighting
Yeah.
engine stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to
It's
say,
a-
they probably didn't redraw all the textures, did they?
No.
So,
They're just-
so the PS5 version is not out yet, but it is a separate version. Owners of the PS4 version get a free upgrade.
Okay. So it's one of those. So buying it now is not a horrible idea.
Your save game will not transfer.
Oh, it will not.
Oh.
I don't understand that at all. Like it's entirely up to the developer to do that, but I feel like it would be more beneficial to do that thing than to not do that thing. Because like Spider-Man was that way. Like if you're trying to play Spider-Man on the new and improved version, you can't continue your save game. You can download the PS4 version and continue your save game, which is, I don't know. Like
Does seem
it's weird. It's weird. So far more
Seems like
games
there must
than
be
not.
some technical reason for that.
I'm guessing. Well, like okay, so with Ghost of Tsushima, like I downloaded the game and I copied over all my saves, and then it took 30 minutes converting my saves. So obviously there's some kind of a format change that has to happen.
Yeah, it took longer than I expected. The
But it
difference
feels
is
bad.
really stark.
It is like I mean I've only ever played it on a base PS4, but my God, is it just night and day difference on a PS5 for Ghost.
I mean, it's a night and day difference from the PS4 Pro to a PS5.
Like the wind animation even seems more subtle and intricate on the PS5 than it did on the PS4. And I use the wind animation all the freaking time trying to figure out like, am I still going the right way?
Where the hell am I going?
Because like I don't ever ride horses in games. This is a thing that I have learned. I don't like riding horses in games. I don't like driving cars in games. So I end up running all the time unless I really need to get across the map. I'll
But
fast travel.
I was going to say, wow, I understand why you didn't like Watch Dogs.
Yeah, I do not like driving in games like that. And there's nothing between point A and point B worth experiencing. Whereas in like a lot of open world games, there's interesting things that happen along the path that you just detour and, you know, do the thing. Watch Dogs is not that game. Did we ever talk about Watch Dogs Legion?
I don't think so.
We did.
Well, then this might be a segue. Because like I it's a really pretty game. It's like, what if the Division and all the detail of the Division were in like not a post-apocalyptic style setting? Because like it's a similarly detailed and pretty world.
Yeah, I mean the craft of that the craft of that setting is great, especially because there's so many little details and you can interact with so many of them.
But the problem that I had is like, okay, so as I'm running across London, there's really no interludes to do. Like, combat is a thing you're trying to avoid because, you know, the police state will come down upon you. So, like, there's not just random combat along your path, which is a thing I'm used to, like, in an open world game.
Yeah.
And as a result, like, it feels real bad just to cross London to get to the next thing, especially if you don't have, like, a fast travel between those locations.
Yeah, it really wanted. I feel like it really wants some more fast travel options because I really love the missions. Like, there's so many interesting ways to play that game.
Yeah, like when you're actually at a mission, it's kind of fun. Like it's a fun little mini vignette. But the open world, while beautiful, doesn't really offer much to do other than shopping venues. And Lord, there's a lot of shopping venues. Like if you want to get your clothing shopping on, that's the game for you. Because like there's all kinds of random vendors along the way.
I've started to see some things that I think unlock as stuff you can do but I haven't gotten far enough in the game for them to unlock.
Okay.
Like, I think that might be the bit that's missing.
Okay. Yeah, like if there was a thing where like London is now on lockdown and you're actively fighting against the Avalon troops as you roam through town, that would feel like an instantly better game to me. But it's not that game. That's not that game. Like that's not the point of that game.
The point is just sneaking around and doing missions and staying out of sight.
Yep. And I have all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Like it doesn't penalize me for having all the subtlety of a sledgehammer once a mission starts. I have absolutely punched my way through most of the missions. So like I am thankful that it also is fine with me doing that, but I feel like I'm playing the game wrong. I didn't play either of the other two Watch Dogs games. So, like, I don't know if that was what they were about as well.
I have not played a Watch Dogs game, and I feel like I might want to try it.
The most interesting thing this one has going for it is the recruitment mechanic and the fact that you can recruit pretty much every character in the game. Like, whether or not you want to, that's a whole other question.
I mean, I really enjoyed some of the random parts of it. Like, I'm this sort of grassroots protest group. I recruited somebody because they had a car.
I just mostly recruited people because they looked cool. But yeah, like that is a thing that is spelled out in the bio of the person, like has car or has access to a gun. Because that's a thing that most people don't have. And if you're playing this legit, like there's a hardcore mode and a not hardcore mode, basically, to where if you're playing it in the hardcore mode, when an operative dies, they're just gone, and you have to go recruit more people. There's no like resurrecting that operative. So any effort that you invested in them is basically zeroed out, and you've got to go recruit somebody else. I think the best thing are the podcasts.
The podcasts are great.
Which are just scattered throughout the world, and they're just a podcast. Like, I mean, that's exactly what they are. They're just random podcasts in that world about all sorts of different topics.
So do you have a main character, like a main protagonist in this game?
Nope.
Sort of-ish. Like, you've got a character that you start as, but like that character is prioritized no more than any other character. And like you're given a random assortment of NPC types like to recruit. And it's like, I don't know, there was like a page of them that you could recruit from as your beginning character. And like I've restarted the game and it was a totally different assortment of characters. So I think they're literally just giving you a random pull from all the available NPCs in the world. I mean, hacking drones was really cool too. You can do all kinds of stuff with drones.
I'm kind of curious how you tell a story with like that structure. Like, I kind of like legitimately interested in how they're doing that, because like it seems like you would have problems having like characterization when most of them are there are so many characters that could be part of the story.
So, individual characters have personality traits, like inherently. And so the story draws on the traits of your characters when filling in lines. Like, there's an astounding amount of voice work in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's more a story about the city than it is a story about a character, at least as far as I've gotten.
Well, and it's very much a story of this organization and like reclaiming it. Because the early events of the game basically show the downfall of Nullsec, which is this organization that's apparently existed in the other games. And you have some fixed NPCs that you're interacting with that are true NPCs that you'll never be able to play. That kind of get you started, but like it seems like every character has kind of their own little story vignettes, and the greater story is like trying to take down this evil empire of Avalon. I think it's Avalon, isn't it? I think that's the name of the security state company thing.
I mean, that would be appropriate.
I may be getting that wrong, but I think it's Avalon. And basically, like, they're the main antagonist, and you are working against them because they've basically been granted a contract so that all law enforcement has been leased out to this company.
Albion.
There you go. Totally different thing, but also TOC.
Also very British.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, for me, I would like the game over more combat focused, but that's also, I realize, a me thing and not what the game was trying to be. So, like, I have to appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you can make it a game where you run around beating people up.
Yeah, I mean, but then you have Grand Theft Auto because you have a similar heat system.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to go loud and it's going to get loud.
Right. And you can absolutely go loud in the individual missions and get away with it, but you can't do that on the street. Not really. Except for I end up aggravating the police state forces by standing and staring at them too long. Have you had that happen to you, Tam?
I haven't.
You're just standing there and they get aggravated at you and start attacking you?
I mean, I've had them, like, shove me.
I mean, you were eyeballing them.
Yeah, like if you keep staying there, that shoving will turn to, like, swinging at you.
Wow.
and I swung back and took him out and had to run. Apparently that's frowned upon.
Gee.
I mean, if somebody swings at me, though, like, I should be able to swing back. Them's the rules, right?
I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
not entirely sure it works that way.
Not, actually.
I mean, something defending myself?
It is interesting for me. I find it really interesting because it's a game where I'm not like the, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not the, you can be non-lethal and you can be, like, relatively pacifist without being, like, unseen and unheard, which is interesting.
Being a pacifist isn't fun, Tam.
Oh man, you should see the havoc I cause. It's super fun.
I know, you like to be the orchestrator pulling the strings.
No, I'm haunting houses. It's hilarious. I'm like opening and closing doors and turning lights on and off and freaking people out. And then if you get them agitated enough, they'll like, if you can get them agitated enough in the dark and then swap their like IFF stuff and they start shooting each other. It's really funny. And I don't even have to be in the building. I'm somewhere else entirely.
Did somebody
hilarious?
Did somebody actually manage to like successfully create what Deckers were always supposed to be?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, it's the game where you get it's not quite Shadowrun because it's not like high tech enough, but it's pretty high tech, and you're running around like basically being a Decker.
Yeah, because basically, like, one of the early things that you learn is you can seize control of security cameras, and then while watching that security camera, interact with other things that are in visual range of that security camera.
Oh, like Night Trap.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, not dissimilar, but yeah, like so like you can basically like do this thing where you connect to an external security camera and slowly hop your way through the building, jumping from security camera to security camera and interacting with things that you're not even in the range of.
Yeah, I'm just in a car rounding the block, driving casual.
And then eventually, like, you learn how to seize control of, like, television station drones. Like, those are the first that you learn how to use, and you can do a lot of stuff with them. And then eventually you learn, like, the big drones that are patrolling and have weapons.
I don't know. The funniest ones are the construction drones, because you can lift really heavy stuff up and drop it. And the utility of lifting very heavy things up and dropping them cannot be overstated.
I mean, I've seen people post videos that show that the drone propellers clearly have collision.
Yep.
It is an interesting game of being a puppet master.
You do kind of have to enjoy outsmarting things that are bigger than you or better equipped than you.
Or you literally can just turn off all the cameras and beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah, that's also a thing.
Because that's what I did most of my hacking for, was I just turn off the cameras so that I don't get seen, and then run through the building and taking out people. So this next thing on the list is a game that I have not had a chance to play, but it is installed on my PS5. Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Oh man. So the previous Spider-Man, you may recall, was one of my games of the year for the year it came out. And this one is also really, really good. It has the same stuff going on. It's basically a sequel. You're playing as Miles instead of Peter Parker, obviously. And so they add Miles' other powers. And so that's kind of like the sequel game mechanic is Miles having slightly different spider powers. And it works really well. They change up the enemy types. They change up. It feels a lot like the difference between Infamous and Infamous 2, where a lot of the core stuff is the same, but because your powers are fairly different, it makes for a very different experience. But the thing that stands out to me is Miles is great. The first game kind of played off of Peter Parker kind of sucks, and definitely plays Peter Parker for laughs because it's what you do with Peter Parker. But Miles is legitimately charming and funny and clever while also being a likable doofus. And it's also the most Puerto Rican game I've ever played, which I realize is there's not much of a bar there because who makes Puerto Rican games of any kind? But the Insomniac did their research. The Spanglish, the switching back and forth between English and Spanish, and it switches to subtitles for the Spanish, but it's recognizably Puerto Rican Spanish, and even has some of the same mid-word language switches that I'm used to. I felt incredibly called out. At a point early on, Miles is complaining about the wallpaper, and he's like, this wallpaper just screams old abuela. And it's the same wallpaper that was in my grandmother's house. Exactly the same. But it's really, really cool. And the people that you run into, go back and forth. There's a bunch of different, carefully considered and low-key cultural touch points that I just get. And because I'm primed to see them, there's a bunch more that I'm I don't get this, but I bet somebody would. And boy does it feel good to run around and be oh yeah, this person's selling pastelon. I know what they're talking about. Mama's making pernil in the for Christmas. Yep. Plus it's just fun. It feels it feels somewhat smoother. There's a lot more animations. I think the combat is harder. Or it's harder because it requires you to use the venom powers.
Yeah.
Does the game does it inhabit the same map as the previous, or is it a wholly separate game?
It's a really good question. I think it is a similar map. You're still technically in New York or whatever. But there's enough reconfiguring in the map that even if it's literally the same map, all of the stuff that you care about is in different places, and your starting point on the map is different.
Okay.
Parks are still my nemesis, although the game is much better about parks now in the original, because there's you you swing around because your webs have attach points.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's no nearby attach points, like, you don't have anything to attach to.
Spider-Man historically has serious problems in the suburbs.
Yeah, it sucks. But yeah, parks are... Miles is better at parks. It's more of the Spider-Man. As somebody who doesn't really like superheroes for the most part, it's still absolutely my favorite. And boy, is it cool to, like, these could be my relatives talking. That's not something I've ever had in a video game.
That's cool.
It's really, really neat. I like the characters, and as funny as it was to have the previous one make fun of Peter Parker all the time, it's kind of nice to have a character that's, like, genuinely likable, and it still makes fun of Peter Parker. Like, it manages to continue to do that in the same, like, yeah, he's Spider-Man, but also eventually I'm going to get new costumes, but the running around in, like, tights and a hoodie and, like, the denim jacket over it is really funny. Like, Miles is unconcerned with looking badass, or at least wearing super slick high-tech outfits.
Like, the one outfit I care about is the one with the cat.
I don't have the one with the cat, but that cat is great.
It's supposedly, like, from what I understand, that one just comes from, like, petting the cat, and now you have that outfit.
I have
wherever
no idea.
that cat's at. Yeah.
It also looks really, really good on PS5. Like, I did not think I cared about ray tracing, but ray tracing is pretty impressive when you're swinging through the city as Spider-Man and can see yourself reflected in the buildings.
Well, they supposedly just patched in a ray tracing, but also 60 frames per second mode, which I think will be interesting to play with. Because, like, right now, I think that in the original patch, you had to choose between ray tracing, but 30 frames per second, or 60 frames per second mode with ray tracing off. But they released a ray tracing performance mode.
Probably involving variable resolution.
Yep, involving variable resolution. Yep. But for being a game that is like a halfway generation game, it is really freaking gorgeous looking.
It's a ton of fun. Like, the previous one was a ton of fun. This one is a ton of fun.
Okay, Tam, what is the gifts from Sony topic?
I'm also curious because I thought you put that in there.
No. I have no idea what this is.
A PS5 game?
Maybe?
That happened this week.
We talked about that last week, though, right? Or had you had your PS5 yet when we last talked about this?
I don't think you
I don't
did.
think so.
No, mine came this Monday.
So Tam, what are your thoughts on the PS5 then?
It's a really solid piece of hardware, and I enjoy that that setup was so easy.
And by that, do you mean structurally solid? It's gigantic.
I mean, a little of both.
So, like, did you do the application or the phone app thing?
No, what phone app thing?
Oh, so like I had found out about this prior to getting the PS5, and if you download the phone app and log into it, there's a setup screen where, like, you just scan a QR code on the television and bam, your PlayStation 5 is instantly set up.
Oh, that's cool.
Behind the scenes, yeah.
Huh. No,
It copies over all your save information, and yeah, it's like all your previous settings.
You did write this topic, Bell, so I have no idea what it's about.
I don't like. I see that I wrote the topic. I have no idea what this topic's about. But yeah, I mean, like, it was really cool. Like, because I think you have the choice of either logging in or using the phone app, and I used the phone app, and it was easy.
That was actually a thing for the sad box too.
Oh, okay.
It was a really painless setup. It was also very cool that it's got a super well integrated controller firmware update and ability to copy over your games and saves from the PS4. So just copied over, like, what saves do I care about? I care about my Ghost of Tsushima save. And otherwise it was, like, pretty straightforward. It was really good setup.
And once again, like, it's up to the game to decide what the hell it does with that save data, but, you know,
sure,
it was easy to, like, I copied all my saves, and it took a while, but had I just copied a single game, it would have gone really quickly. The UI is so much faster than the previous UI.
Yes. I've been very surprised by that.
And, like, previously it was always a pain in the butt to dip into the store, and now it's just more or less seamless.
Yeah, there's a lot of just it runs faster, which is interesting to see. Like little things like menus or whatever. I'm still getting used to turning it off or putting it into rest mode, which it's not that it's not intuitive, it's just not the same thing that I'm used to. But it's also physically enormous, which is definitely a thing I'm getting used to. My poor
like, I tried to say how big it was, but, like, until you actually have it, it is hard to understand the scale.
It really is. Like, it's big. It's, like, silly big.
Like, the curves on it make it look deceptively smaller. Like, the way that the curving happens just kind of makes it look like it's maybe, like, smaller than it actually is, but no, it's massive. It's just silly massive.
Yeah, it's bigger than Gloomhaven.
Wow. It's not heavier than Gloomhaven, is it?
No, it's not. I guess it's not as tall as Gloomhaven. It's like, there's some board game that I was thinking of that's almost the exact same box size.
It is heavy, though. Like, it's real heavy.
Yeah.
Mine is silent for the most part. But I also never play anything off disk. I have heard the disk drive is rather loud.
The disk drive is pretty loud. I've noticed that the disk drive is loud. I thought it was fans at first, and it's not.
So Bel, did you get one without a disk drive? Or did you get a disk drive?
I did
version?
not. I got a disk drive only because that was what was available.
Okay.
Like, they made a significantly smaller number of the diskless ones, like orders of magnitude less. So it was hell to get anything other than a disc one. It's like I basically had to make the decision of, like, well, do I care that much? Like, would I rather just have it now and then wait for the one I specifically wanted? So I have the weird appendage that is the Blu-ray drive. Like, it definitely looks like it's a unit that was originally designed not to have a drive.
It does, like, bulge out a little weirdly. Also, discs go into it weirdly. Like, not the way I would expect.
It's the reverse. Like, it's exactly the opposite of what you would think.
I mean, are they, like, upside down?
So, like, if the thing is lying flat, the disc in the disk drive is on the bottom.
Oh,
which means
okay.
that if you put the disc in there, the disc goes shiny side down on the bottom. But it means that if it were sitting upright, you would put it shiny side out of the main body.
Right. Yeah, so you basically put the label towards the center black column.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, interesting.
Which
They wouldn't put the laser toward the side that has more stuff.
Right.
Yeah. It's as if, like, okay, so imagine the PS3 Fat Boy unit, but, like, the drive worked backwards on that one, and how it was put together was backwards. Instead of it being on the top, it's on the bottom now. Anyway, it's weird, but whatever. You get used to it. Like, the first time I fed the disc in wrong, and it griped at me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was putting it in wrong at first.
Well, I'm using mine vertically, so, like, I
have
thought
no
it was
idea.
going to be...
I thought about putting mine vertically, but I have no idea where I would put that thing vertically.
Well, so, like, I ended up orienting all of my consoles vertically, and they're all lined up on a shelf in my office. But, like, they're on the top of basically like a hutch, for lack of better. Like, it's a really short hutch that I've got on my desk. It's got, like, I don't know, little cubby holes in it. So I've got my VCR Xbox One and my old school PS4 and my original PS3. But really, like, the only one of those, like, I need to hold on to the PS3, obviously, for if I want to play a PS1 or PS2 game in addition to PS3 games. But, like, the PS4 will eventually get moved somewhere else, and it will become a remote PlayStation 5, because that's a thing that happened as well. Like, there's now a remote play client for the PS4 that allows you to connect to the PS5.
I have that. Even though I don't have a PS5, it just came with a firmware update.
Yep. That part's weird. Like, I have to imagine that it works, but...
So you can play your PS5 games through your PS4?
Yeah.
Neat.
It's like stream your PS4, or stream your PS5 on your PS4.
Right.
So what you do is you have a well-ventilated cabinet to hold your massive PS5, and then your PS4 can go so it's not a giant eyesore.
That's a little too Rube Goldberg even for me, Goja.
You sure? Aren't you doing that thing anyway?
I mean, I do play a lot on my laptop downstairs that is streaming my gaming desktop upstairs, so yes. That is a thing I do.
Just saying.
But, like, I wouldn't do them sitting side by side.
No, not side by side. You
hide the PS5 in the closet somewhere. Who needs a TV for it anyway?
PS5 is your cloud.
I mean, but do you even need to see the PS5? Like, I mean, I guess if you're swapping discs.
That's the whole idea, right? Is that you stick your wherever you're hiding your router, you also just have your PS5 stuck up like a giant version of a router next to it.
I mean, it does kind of look like a mid 2000s cable modem design.
It does.
Just a giant cable modem.
It really looks like a giant surfboard.
Yes, exactly. Someone was channeling that. Like, what if we had a Motorola surfboard, but giant?
I still have one of those.
And for some reason, no one stopped them.
Yeah, nobody was like, yeah, I don't think this is going to translate well. It grows on me, though. Like, the only thing that I would change is the fact that the controllers are gray instead of, like, black, because I think eventually they will get grubby looking.
I actually went to a place and I could buy a controller.
They made a lot of controllers.
A lot more than they made consoles.
It's a true fact.
Did you do the thing I talked about last week? Did you see the tiny symbols?
Yes. If you look real close or take a really high resolution picture,
the pebble texture is a bunch of zeros and triangles and X's and squares.
It's so unnecessary, but here we are.
Someone clearly thought it was very necessary.
I mean, it's a cool touch.
It is a cool touch.
I mean, I'm afraid that design will grab and hold on to dust, but, you know, whatever. Because they're recessed, I think, aren't they? Or do they stick out? I don't remember.
They stick out.
Okay.
The Astro's Playground is also pretty great.
It is shockingly good for a pack-in.
I mean, if that game were slightly longer, it would be a solid, like, Mario-style platform.
Right. That's the thing, is, like, if that game were, like, laid out like a traditional game, and it were a little too less self-congratulatory of Sony, and like a little less demo level-y, like, it would be a competitor for, like, a Sony-owned platformer franchise.
Yeah.
Because Astro's adorable. The things you do with Astro's adorable. Planet. Well, that's true, but I'm not really sure if Sackboy ever really caught on as a mascot.
Briefly, but then they forgot about him when the PS4 came around, so that stopped.
Yep. I mean, now an Astro's had several games, so the only mini game that annoys me is the frog suit.
I have not gotten to the frog suit.
It's basically like you put on this frog suit and you're okay. So, do you remember the toys that were? I don't know. Like, this is an artifact of my childhood, but there were these suction cup toys that you would suction cup down, and there was like a platform with a spring, and when the suction would release, it would cause it to jump in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shalen's on board with this.
Yeah,
that's what
remember those.
That's what the frog suit is basically. It's a springy body, and you scrunch down and you tilt your controller, and that represents the trajectory you're going to go when you release your trigger. And you basically have to platform while doing this thing. And it's okay for very short periods of time, but like it's hard to get the level of control fidelity that you need to actually platform while doing this scrunch and spring and scrunch and spring.
So it's like the spring suit in Get Mario Galaxy.
Probably.
The spring suit was awful. It was terrible.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that looks exactly like it. Okay.
So is this a 2D platformer or 3D?
It's mostly 3D, but the frog suit section is 2D. So that it removes some complication from the spring suit mechanic. But like you're literally inside a PlayStation during some of the things. Like it's weird. It's this weird museum tour through past PlayStation hardware as this little robot.
Yeah. The conceit is incredibly bizarre. It's surprisingly charming, but it's very bizarre. But hey, you're a cute little robot, and they get to show off the various things that the console can do, and mostly what the controller can do. Because if you were not used to some of the things that the PS4 controller could do, the PS5 controller can do all of them and more.
Just the comfort level, other than the weird flat part of the controller, because it just happens to dig into the palm of my or the heel of my hand when I'm holding it. The
Flat
controller
part.
itself is so like, okay, if you're holding it, the black part is a different orientation than the rest of the controller. Like it is not a smooth curve. It's this weird, like, so the rest of the controller makes like a smooth curve, but then there's this flat part, and when I'm holding it, it just happens to dig in weird into my...
Oh, I see what you're talking about. You
There's
just
like
have
a
hands that
ledge.
are like 60% larger than mine.
Yes, we've gone over this. But yeah,
I was
like so...
what flat part? It's the bit at the bottoms of the
Right.
handles, right? Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
and it makes a little ledge there.
Yeah. There's like a full half centimeter of clearance between the end of my hand and that part of the controller.
Yeah. So that is a purely me, like, having too large of hands for controllers thing, but it is a thing with the design, and I have to kind of hold it weird to account for it. But it's way more comfortable than the DualShock 4 was for me, because it's technically like a larger controller.
Yeah, it's a really comfortable controller.
The only thing about it that I'm not 100% sold on is like the clear buttons. Like I know what the buttons are, so I don't need to see them. But like for someone who doesn't know which one's the triangle and which one's the square, I feel like they're harder to read than the previous ones were.
I guess that's fair. I can see that. I was like, they can read them fine. Yeah, I have some concerns about like, what is this controller going to look like in 6 years?
It's going to be very beige.
It's not going to look pretty, I don't think, unless they figured out some kind of crazy plastic thing.
Well, and the thing is it's not actually white either. It's like gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's probably not going to do the same things like the old Super Nintendo hardware did.
No, yeah, I mean, it's not going to yellow like that, I don't think. I mean, I would hope they've figured out how to make plastic that doesn't do that now.
I mean, that's not to say they do all the time.
So at this point, we're getting close to time, and I am not sure if the next topic can be handled in as short a time as we have, because I have a feeling it's going to go in a specific direction. Any short topics that anybody wants to talk about?
Monster Sanctuary exists and is out. It is a Pokemon-like Metroidvania that we'll probably be talking about a lot more in a future show. But this is it exists.
The Game Awards happened, yeah.
Yeah, the Game Awards happened. What was the other
You mean
one?
a bunch of ads happened?
I mean, that's what I watched.
So, like-
that's like half of what I watched the Game Awards for, which is
Like,
good because it's about half the show.
So to be fair, like I started the other night to watch the Game Awards, and then I realized, I only care about the trailers, and I actually actively find the award portion annoying. I'll just watch the trailers Monday morning or whatever day it was the next morning. So I think I watched just a tiny bit before flipping it off and then watching all the trailers because like that was what I cared about. Like I thought it was. I mean, I expected Hades to get more awards. To be honest, like they got Best Indie, but like I actually expected him to get more of the awards. Last of Us 2 more or less swept.
Yeah, if The Last of Us 2 and Among Us basically.
I didn't remember that Last of Us 2 even came out this year, or that anybody else remembered that Last of Us 2 came out this year.
Yep, there you go.
I don't know if it did or they have a weird cutoff. So
it did actually come out this year.
Well, but like Jedi Fallen Order came out last year, but it came out after their cutoff. So was on this year's.
Sephiroth is coming to Smash, and his down air is the same animation as when he kills Eris.
And like I feel like that was the thing that everybody was talking about, but like I just don't care about Smash.
But that's
I think it's
if
funny.
you don't care about Smash,
that is truly funny. Like your down air is like the ultimate moment of villainy. Oh, it's beautiful.
It's very great, actually.
The image of Mario, impaled on Sephiroth's sword is pretty amusing.
That was a great, just like you knew that he wasn't going to have actually impaled Mario, but like it made you fake that for a second.
Well, it was recreating that one scene from the Advent Children movie too, so that also made it kind of special.
So good. Like my favorite parts of I'm not even sad that Among Us won as many awards as it did, just because watching that team come on in their like masks and like holding up a cell phone with another team member on video,
like Among Us
thing was just it was delightful every time.
It has a phenomenal community team, like it really does.
Wait, so I didn't realize Among Us won so many awards, which really is begging the question, what is the cutoff? I didn't think Among Us came out this year.
Last year.
No, it won one of the evergreen type awards, like best multiplayer or best mobile game, and I think maybe like best multiplayer.
It definitely
like
didn't come out this year, but sure. Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
We discovered it this year.
The world realized it existed this year.
That's what I think was so delightful about seeing the team's reaction, because they're just like it was so great watching them be so excited. Although
there's also the No Man's Sky one.
Yes. That was my absolute favorite moment of the show, was No Man's Sky dude taking a drink as they announced that his game won. And he was like, "Oh, what? Wait, what?"
Best ongoing game against like Fortnite and Destiny 2.
Yeah, best ongoing game, and the other entries were Apex. Was it Apex Legends?
Apex, Fortnite, Destiny 2, and something else. I don't even remember what something else was.
Call of Duty something.
I've not returned to it, but like legitimately, No Man's Sky deserves accolades for how much crap they have crammed into that game post-launch.
It is a fully fledged VR integration.
Yeah, my husband has started playing it since they put in the VR, and he has sunk a lot of time into it, and it looks really cool.
I may have to load that up and give it another go, because I'm
gonna have to start from scratch. Because it's been so long since I've played, I just need to start back from scratch.
So I think my biggest news from that night is Disco Elysium: A Final Cut is coming out, and I'm going to get it.
Yes.
Yeah, full voice acting.
That's voice acting. That's bonkers.
Well, and you are going to get it because it's a free upgrade.
Oh,
I'm
sweet!
Probably going to buy it again because I will feel bad.
I will buy it for another platform.
Well, yeah, you can get it for the PlayStation 5. Like, it's coming out for that too.
So the one thing that I was wanting from the Game Awards is also the thing that I didn't get from the Game Awards. Like, I was wanting some kind of tangible evidence that there's a game called Dragon Age.
I thought there was I see there was another teaser trailer.
There was a teaser trailer, but there is nothing game in anything that was shown off. That was just a bunch of disconnected random footage that doesn't resemble a game.
I mean, how is BioWare in general doing?
They just lost two of their biggest names.
Yeah, the lead of Dragon Age and the studio head, I think.
Casey Hudson and...
I mean, one of those people had been at BioWare for like 23 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, hey, maybe I want to do anything else. Feels legit to me.
But like, okay, so the thing that we were shown for Dragon Age and Mass Effect is like, it's putting a quarter on the machine saying, oh no, we're at some point we're gonna release something, but like it is maybe about as close as Elder Scrolls 6 is.
I feel like that expression dates you, Bell.
It does, absolutely, it dates me. I mean, like there was no game there at all. Like that doesn't even look like engine footage to me.
I will give it the benefit of the doubt over Elder Scrolls 6 because I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is actively being worked on because they have another game they say they're working on.
I'm not sure Mass Effect is being worked on either.
Yeah, I'm like, all right. So are we betting on, is this game in development, or are we betting on, will this game get released?
I don't want to take either of those bets, quite frankly, at the moment.
Because I'll take the bet that Test 6 comes out and is released. Like, that's a sucker bet. I'll take it. That game will be released at some point.
Sure.
I don't know.
It might not be in the next 5 years.
Sure. But if you were to say, like, will it release eventually? Will a Test 6 like get launched? Yeah, absolutely.
Like the Mass Effect and Dragon Age trailers were basically the trailer version of a vision board. Like it's a bunch of things that they aspire to do. And I don't see a game there yet. And it saddens me, which means we're probably still 3-4 years out at least.
Well, yeah, my viewpoint is I could believe that somebody is working on those games more likely than somebody's working on TED 6 because I thought most of their resources were on Starfield right now.
I have no idea where Bethesda's resources are. Bethesda has a lot of resources.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's highly likely that there is a team fully focused on Starfield, but there's probably a team working on the ideation of Elder Scrolls 6.
You might actually get to find out about those things ahead of time now because they're not owned by a private company.
I don't know how much that's going to change it. Like, honestly, I don't know.
Microsoft does investor calls.
They do. Also, what the hell with the Disney investor call? Did you follow any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Do you like Star Wars?
Do you like Star Wars?
Will happen.
There's a lot of Star Wars, and there's a lot of Marvel, and I'm here for it.
Like, oh hey, we're gonna make a bunch of movies, but instead release them as television shows. Sweet.
And the BBC model has come to America.
Yeah, like I'm on board.
Lots of miniseries.
Yep.
It's A-OK, 100%.
No, it's absolutely bonkers amount
I absolutely do want to. I'm interested in finding out what Cassian Andor was like prior to the events of Rogue One. Sure, I'm fine with that. Like I'm on board with a spin-off Ahsoka series.
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, Rogue Squadron is exciting.
I'm so on board with the Bad Bunch.
The Bad Batch, yeah.
A Bad Batch, yeah.
There had better be an Ewok X-Wing pilot in Rogue Squadron. That is all I have to say.
So here's the thing that I really want that I'll probably be saddened by is I want Dash Rendar to show up in the Rogue Squadron series because they have teased the Outrider in so many background shots at this point.
I still want Kyle Katarn to be a thing.
I would love Kyle Katarn. Dark Troopers are a thing.
I want Kyle Katarn.
Right?
I want Kyle Katarn to be canon again.
I'm perfectly okay if it's like Dark Forces 1 Kyle Katarn.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'd honestly rather it be that.
I would be too.
Right. I think it would be better.
I don't need Jedi Savior Kyle Katarn. I need like Rogue Scoundrel that is also Force sensitive.
Yeah, I mean, I would take Dark Forces 2 Kyle Katarn as like, you know, mercenary scoundrel who's like, this is so dumb. I have Jedi in my like background and I have stupid visions. I'm annoyed by it, like actively irritated.
I want any series to take me to Nar Shaddaa. I want real world Nar Shaddaa. Like I want to, like we got to see it in SWTOR and that was awesome. Like I want to see it in a live action show.
Ow, my FX budget.
Yeah, but it seems like they're building, because like you saw in the Cassian Andor sizzle reel that they're building a lot of sets that might be reusable.
I think you're seeing that in The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
that's the big takeaway from The Mandalorian, isn't it? They can use the volume.
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder,
a desert town is a desert town is a desert town.
I wonder how. So, I wonder how much of the sequel trilogy's sets were designed for reuse. Now that I'm thinking about it,
yeah,
I bet it's a lot. Like reconfigure shots of Jakku, and you've got the right desert planet for the Mandalorian.
Well, and the thing that they're starting to master, though, is CGI that looks like practical effects. Because it's practical effects that have been modified with CGI.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's taken us a while to get there, but like there are things that work real well as practical effects. There are things that work real well as CGI. And maybe not all of one or the other is the correct path anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, the trailer of all of the trailers in there that I was the most excited about was Loki.
It looks so good. It looks so good.
Loki working for the Time Variance Authority, like causing trouble throughout history. Yes, sign me up.
I did not see that, but okay, yes, sure, I'm here for this.
Oh, it's so perfect. Like
we finally know how DB Cooper escaped.
Exactly.
He had his brother waiting on standby with the Bifrost.
Yeah, it was so good. And like you even see a few dollar bills didn't make it. It's gonna be basically like Loki meets Men in Black. Like that's what I'm expecting the feel to be.
That's the silliest concept I've ever heard, and I'm here for it.
Wow.
Well, and there were so many like little things throughout that trailer that were like references to recent Loki stories and other stuff, like the one shot of Loki with a big Vote Loki button.
Yeah.
What?
Loki ran for president recently.
All right.
Thing.
Um.
And also, I really like their take on the Living Tribunal. They had instead of a giant three-faced cosmic being, they had a woman at a giant desk, and like behind her were reliefs of the three faces. Like it looks really cool anyway. And if you recognize those faces, then like it's a neat little nod.
And we're gonna get a Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special.
Christmas special, yes.
Has anyone seen the Star Wars Christmas special yet?
No.
I should watch it. I should watch it with Eli.
Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting as these come to fruition, because like I don't know, like I've loved the Mandalorian because like it's just little vignettes of the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love seeing AT-ATs repurposed for different things on each planet. Like that's like I loved AT-ATs as a kid, and I still do. And seeing them being turned into other useful things. Because, like, if you think about it, like, in a post-Empire setting, there would be a lot of Empire hardware left over.
Oh, yeah.
It's just sitting there.
Yeah, you use that stuff.
I also want more Dave Filoni stuff. Did they talk about the Obi-Wan series at all? I don't.
A little.
Only only a tiny bit.
I mean, they told us Hayden Christensen's coming back.
That's the thing that floors me is how many of the original folks are more than happy to do these things.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I had just assumed that
He did not want to be associated with Star Wars ever again.
Yeah.
Well, so
Like, I assumed the fan base had driven him well away, like Jake Lloyd style. But
I'm not
Yeah,
entirely sure that that's entirely his fault.
Yeah.
Those movies ended up that way.
no, it's not at all. I mean, and that's the thing is I'm pretty okay with him coming back. Like George Lucas is not directing. I think he might actually, be good.
There's a video floating around that has Dave Filoni talking about the prequels, and it puts them in a different perspective. And I don't know, like, I get what he's saying. Is he's arguing that they're better than what we think they are.
I'd agree with that.
And he like brings up all these parallels between like the original series and the prequels, and maybe I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, now we've gone over. Any final thoughts?
Sounds like no.
Nope.
Well, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you all next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
night.
See you.